Hey, what's going on, family? It's your boy, Pastor Santa Cameau.
What's up, y'all? This is your co-host from Rickard, Jean-Noel. We welcome you to The Real Word, episode 20 of season 2. That means we're only 5 episodes away from ending the second season. Shout out to all the guests that came to the second season. Shout out to everybody that's been watching. Shout out to all supporters. Shout out to everybody that just been looking out for the show, man. Shout out to God, because without God, there wouldn't be any of this. So, as we start to wrap up the season, we would like your input. We would like your questions and comments. Share what we could improve next season, what we could do better, and everything else. But today we got a special guest. Introduce yourself, brother.
My name is Sodney Dorante, but I'm probably better known as Monsieur Noir.
Monsieur Noir, Mr. Black. And where did the name Mr. Noir come from?
I was being real dumb about it one day, and I was just like, you know what, it sounds really good in French, but really dumb in English. So I was like, let me just go with that.
Yeah, man, it fits you. And you a model, right? Tell people a little bit about your modeling.
So I've been modeling seriously for about 2 years now. I'm more into the editorial / commercial stuff. This past year, I've been doing more influencer things. I've done Shea Moisture campaign. I've done Timex campaign. I've done a Coke Boys campaign.
Wow.
I've done a few things.
Coke Boys French Montana?
Yeah,
Where?
when it was actually popping.
Yeah, this
And that fizzled away.
How'd you get involved in all that? Like, how did that start?
Instagram is an amazing platform,
Yeah,
I have
really
to say.
is.
And I do know a couple of people. So I kind of started by accident when I was with the modeling thing. It was kind of like just me helping a friend out because she needed some shots, and she was like, oh, just hop in. I was like, all right, cool, but I don't really like the camera. And she was like, oh no, but it'll be fine, it's just for me. I got in there, and she was like, the photographer was like, yo, these is actually type dope. You should actually consider doing this. And then I didn't really consider it to be that profitable until somebody opened my eyes into just different avenues you can go ahead and take it and actually make it profitable. And then adding the whole influencer aspect into it, it just goes ahead and just adds more profit into that as well. So
Explain to people what an influencer is.
So basically an influencer is, as the word would suggest, somebody who influences his followers. So with a large following, you go ahead and influence your followers to either purchase a product or to go to a location and venue and spend their money. So companies pay influencers to buy their products. Instead of spending like $50,000, $60,000, $80,000 to get a celebrity or whatever the case is, if you have somebody who's on Instagram with 110,000 followers,
Wow.
you can pay him $3,000, $4,000 for one picture on Instagram, and more than likely, at least 15 to 20% of his followers is going to go ahead and make that purchase just because of his influence.
So how do you get together with those companies?
A lot of it is pitching, but you can't have a pitch if you don't already have a platform laid out that has that following.
Yeah.
So you have to have the following first. You have to have the engagement, because I think a lot of you guys should be familiar with how Instagram works and engagement. So if you have a large following and you have a great engagement, then that kind of makes companies look at you as somebody who has influence. So it's one thing to have a lot of followers, which is why sometimes you'll see people with like maybe 70, 80,000 followers, but 100 likes.
Yeah.
That person has no engagement. That person can't sway anybody to do anything.
Okay.
So if you can go ahead and create a post, and then people will go ahead and like the post and engage, if you engage back with the people, Instagram one is more than likely to go ahead and blast your post everywhere without you having to put any money towards it.
On the Explore page.
On the Explore page, another thing will happen is a lot of blogs will go ahead and repost the picture because they keep seeing it and they want to be a part of whatever's trending. So when they see it, then they go ahead and repost it and repost it and repost it and repost it. And then companies want a piece of that, because that's, to them, that's an opportunity for profit.
Yeah.
So if I'm somebody, for example, who were able to get 15 different blog sites to repost one picture, and that one picture was aligned with a company, for example, I'll say Timex, then what that does for Timex is it increases the likelihood that you, the consumer, who's looking at my page, will go ahead and purchase the Timex watch. So for them, it's beneficial to spend the $4,000 or $5,000 on an influencer.
Wow. So my next question, right?
I just want to cut you off. Let's ask you a quick question. So in regards to, you said that the people that have a large follow. They have a large following, but they don't have
Engagement.
Why do you think is that? If I may ask.
So there's different reasons. You might have a large following because you purchase them, which you can. They have like what do they call? I forgot what
No,
they're called,
you could purchase followers. That's a different.
you could purchase followers, but those are fake accounts. You can go ahead and purchase those.
Even through Instagram, those are fake accounts.
Yeah,
So if you pay
there's a
Instagram-
fake account generator.
So
No,
if-
not Instagram itself.
But-
There are people who generate.
No,
fake
that's
accounts for
a
you.
fact.
Yeah.
But if you pay Instagram to get you followers, they will get you followers.
Yeah, if you pay somebody, well, not Instagram, the application itself. So there'll be like somebody will approach you in your DM and be like, hey, do you want $20,000, 20,000 followers? Pay $10.99, and then you pay $10.99, and all of a sudden you'll have like 15,000 followers.
Yeah.
But when you click on that account, that page will have 0 followers and it's following 6,000 people.
Yeah.
It's a generated account.
Okay,
Not a real
because
person.
I know in Facebook, you can, like, for example, like my Facebook page, Funerals Don't Count,
Yeah.
we pay Facebook. It's not like Facebook, we pay Facebook to get you followers.
Okay, so what you can do on Instagram is you can pay, it doesn't guarantee you followers, but you can pay Instagram to promote your page,
Okay.
which is the same way. So you can pay Instagram to promote your page, and that will in turn lead to more, because
Okay.
the more exposure, the more likely that somebody will see your page.
That's a fact. Okay, just want to make sure about that. Go ahead, Rickard.
So building up engagement, like what do you think make people engage the most?
So, some people think it's cool if you have a lot of followers and you don't comment and you don't talk to people in the comment section.
Yeah,
That's a bad move.
But why do people think like that? Just have to ask.
Because it's kind of like if I have a lot of followers, it's like this mystique. I'm cool. I got a lot of followers. I don't have to respond, and that doesn't do well for your engagement.
Wow.
Yeah.
If you're a smaller account. If you're a larger account who's already up there, then you necessarily don't need or not dependent on engagement necessarily.
Like celebrities,
Yeah.
basically the people in the comments, they argue with each other.
Yeah. So you don't need that part. So, but if you're a smaller account on the come up, then the engagement part is important.
Wow.
Because when you are making pitches to these companies, you do need to let them know what your engagement looks like. And there's applications that can tell you
Wow.
how engaged you are with I would call them your clients, but no, your customers, your consumers. So they'll tell you how engaged you are with your consumers. You give them a report of how engaged they are, how many posts how many likes you average, comments you average, and they'll go ahead. Plus, on top of that, there are applications that tell you how much a post is worth on your page. So you can find out if your post is worth any money, if your posting is worth any money. And then you let the companies know that this is profitable for them to work with you and collaborate with you. Which is why now you can see on Instagram now it has a section at the top now underneath your name. If you post, it'll say in partnership with and then the brand.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can go ahead and connect with brands on that level. But you have to email the people. You kind of got to do a lot of groundwork. Or oftentimes, a lot of companies, because they see an opportunity, they will go ahead and reach out to you. So with Shea Moisture reached out to me.
Wow.
They see my picture floating around, and then they reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to be part of their beard campaign. That was November's beard campaign, their digital campaign, and then it took off from there.
Wow.
So how much money do you have on Instagram, if I may ask?
21.7.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That's beautiful. How do you feel about that?
Right.
It's not regular, right?
I look at it as an opportunity for money. I just don't think of it as making me anything.
No, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, at the end of the day, you know that your value is in God,
Right.
and the reason why you have influence because God gave you the swag that you have.
Right,
so
right,
that's
right.
Which is beautiful.
But I think first and foremost, because we're Christians and we're believers, we're supposed to be influencers anyway.
Yeah, of course.
I agree.
So if
I
have
gotta
an
give you
opportunity,
that. I gotta give you that, my God.
if I have an opportunity
that's real.
to
That's real.
speak the word, but not necessarily, I don't think the message always gets translated the best if you give people straight word. I think a lot of times
It's
it's lifestyle,
Yeah.
your character, your behavior, then people are
That's
inquiring.
right. I agree.
So when people start to inquire
I
and have
agree.
questions, and then they start to
Yeah.
wonder what makes you and sets you apart. So my approach isn't necessarily I'm going to go ahead and shove the word down your throat.
No, of course not.
My approach is you're going to see me, you're going to be like, wow, this is like, I didn't know you could be Christian and be cool. Then I'm a positive person, period.
That's a
So
fact.
when people see that, they kind of tend to want to know more about what I'm about,
Yeah.
where I go, what church I go to,
Yeah.
what my faith necessarily is. But I'm not directly asking them, hey, come to the church because you need to be saved. It's more like just living your lifestyle, and people are just curious as to what your lifestyle is about,
That's
who you
what's-
are as a person.
Sounds cool.
That's
man.
real.
So, how did you build such a big following? Like, what do you think about you attract people, and how did that following grow?
Beautiful.
So that's kind of a hard question to answer, only because if it wasn't for the gigs I did, that I've done, then I think my following wouldn't have been as large. But even before the gigs I was doing, I kind of had a decent following. And I think that's because people can just tell when you're transparent with them and you're honest and you talk to people. So I'll be on Instagram talking to complete strangers, giving them advice. That's kind of where I started, just talking to people and just giving them just regular, just basic advice. And the advice that I was giving kind of just stirred something in me, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to just give advice to the 3, 4, 5 people who may just reach out to me. I want to be able to try to reach as many people as possible, because what I do at my home church, I talk to young adults in a closed setting. I don't really like doing it in front of a large crowd, in the front of the pulpit, or in an AY setting. I like doing things in like a small. I'm like, what I am is, I'm more the guy in the back in the sound room. That's the type of guy I am. So I like having those small settings and having the opportunity to talk to the 15, 18 kids privately, and then meet up with them occasionally. And then after that, talk to another 15, 18. But with Instagram, I get an opportunity to just 100% be myself, post things that are relatable to people, show people that you can be Christian, you could be cool, you could have swag, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You can be artistic, you can be into certain things without necessarily promoting God in such a large way, but you are promoting God through your lifestyle.
I have to ask you this. So, if they asked you to preach, would you ever preach?
I would have to pray about it, to be totally honest.
Okay.
I'm not my thing is,
Okay.
I'm not opposed to letting the Spirit lead me in whichever way that the Spirit decides to,
Okay.
but I definitely, personally, hate public speaking. And I'm weird, so I hate speaking in front of people I know. I have no problem speaking in front of complete strangers.
Oh, understand teacher zone.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
That's funny, because that's exactly what it is in the Bible. Most of the time, when someone preaches, like when the Apostle Paul first started preaching, they sent them to his hometown to preach to his people first, because usually they're the hardest people to reach,
Yeah.
because they judge you based on who you were,
That's
not
right,
who you are.
Exactly.
Right.
So like, once you reach them, then you can reach the world.
Right.
So,
It's unfortunate that they won't take you serious until other people take you serious. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
When other people take you serious, that's when they want to take you. You say, which is sad, and it is what it is.
yeah,
Like for me, it's just like, I get really nervous in front of people I know. I start looking at their faces like, oh snap, oh, I know you. And I'm just like, oh, it's a whole cluster. But then in front of complete strangers, I'm like, I got y'all. Whiplash, got you. I'm going and swaying the crowd. So I'm just a lot more comfortable with smaller, intimate settings.
That's real.
Wow.
That's real.
So, besides modeling, do you do anything else?
I work a boring 9 to 5.
Okay.
So I'm trying to lead into entrepreneurship by the start of next year, God willing.
Oh, so what type of entrepreneurship?
So I want to start my own clothing brand, and I can't speak on the other one because that's more into reality. I'm a lot closer to that one than anything else.
Okay.
So soon and very soon, I should have a lot more things in the works.
You don't want to jinx it?
Not at all.
So
I want to continue to keep things in prayer,
Mm.
and then when I see a sign, when I get a message to go ahead and jump off the bridge, I'm jumping off the bridge.
Do you feel like you're getting a lot of support?
So I'm real private. So with the people who do know, it's like 100% support, without a doubt. As far as, like, I'm not into going ahead and announcing things and then beating my chest. I'm into just like, let me just keep it real, real quiet, real, real private. And then hopefully if people notice, they notice. If they don't, they don't.
I think that's a positive attitude. Basically, there's a scripture that I read today. It said, what did it say? It said, do not do things based on your own knowledge, but do it with the Spirit, I guess. And I guess that's what exactly that you're doing. In regards to clothing, like what type of clothing would you be doing? Like urban wear, formal wear?
I'm not definitely not. It's definitely more formal. I'm not street. I'm not into street apparel. Even though I have street apparel on, this is just like the comfiest thing I could wear. But I would definitely be doing more like A-line cut tees,
Suits?
I might do some ties and some dress shirts.
What about socks? Socks is a big thing because
Socks are a big thing.
Rob Kardashian made a lot of for socks.
Socks are a very big thing. I'll definitely dib and dabble into everything else.
Sounds cool. So the other day, guys, I was driving Uber because I do Uber part time a little bit on the side. So it was this Jewish guy, Siddiq Jewish guy. So he got into the car and he was like, "Oh, nice car." I was like, "Thanks." And he was like, "I hate Brooklyn. I hate Brooklyn. You should move out to Queens." And I was like, "Why Queens?" He said, "Because I like Queens, man. Queens is cool. It's cheaper. You got more space. Queens is just better than Brooklyn." I said, "Wow." I said, "I've been born and raised in Brooklyn. I like Brooklyn." He said, "Oh, you live in Brooklyn?" I said, "Yeah." And then he asked me how much I pay in rent. So I told him. He goes, "Oh, so what do you got? Section 8? How do you pay for that?"
When the sad reality, they are the biggest recipients of Section 8. Continue.
Facts.
Mercy.
And let's break that down. How do they receive Section 8? Basically, because they get married in synagogues, so within their spectrum, they're married, but they don't get married in the court of law. I guess the U.S. courts downtown, the way we do to obtain a marriage license. So therefore, their marriage is not recognized by the state. So the woman technically is single, but religiously she's married, so she can still claim public assistance benefits. And guess who owns the house? Probably her husband and his friends.
That's a fact.
So I guess his stigma was like, okay, I'm a black man. Because he also asked me, "Oh, is Uber all I do?" I said, "No, I got a 9-to-5 job as well." He said, "Oh, so you got 2 jobs? Why? So basically, he was like, "Why you have a nice car? Why you could afford rent that high and not be on Section 8? Why are you married? Why do you have 2 jobs? Like, why you not fitting the stigma?" It seemed like after a while, when I didn't fit the stigma, he put in his headphones and he seemed like upset.
Wow.
And I heard something about, I think it was Dick Gregory who was talking, and he said basically, people of different races could be prejudiced, but they can't be racist. As in, for someone to be racist, they have to be able to control another person's
power
form of living or way of living. As in, like, I could be prejudiced towards you, but I have no power to send your children to a bad school. I have no power to make you live in a bad neighborhood. I have no power to make sure that you don't get a certain job and be disenfranchised. I don't have power to incarcerate your kind by a large proportion versus people of other skin color.
That's a fact.
So do you guys think there's some facts to that? Or?
No, there is factors. Like I said, you explained what prejudice is, but racism is control. It's all about control. So I agree with you on that 100% and everything like that.
With the Hasidic Jew, it's all they really see when it comes to African Americans is just something that is negative. So they don't necessarily get to know anything about us outside of slavery, thugs, rap music, chains, jewelry, and violence. So when you comes across somebody who isn't all of those things, he's perplexed. He's like, "What?" So he threw his headphones on like, "Nah, he's not a real black guy. He doesn't count."
Wow.
That's real.
He doesn't count.
That's real.
Another thing.
That's the reason why personally we have to take it to the next level. We have to continue to project positivity, because as Haitians, it's a strike against us already. They still doubt us, especially when they say, "Oh, you look Haitian," because I get that all the time. You can't be Haitian. I'm like, yeah, I'm Haitian. You know what I'm saying? Father and mother is, and also too being black, being young, and being a man. We already have the stacks against us. So we have 10 times to prove than white folks. So to show that we have to better ourselves. So yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Funny as I was talking to my wife and my brother.
You married?
Yeah.
I didn't know you was married.
Yeah.
He just had a baby too.
Yeah.
Where are we married to?
Lori. Her name's Lori.
Okay. I met her before, right? She lives around out there, right?
No, she doesn't. She's originally from Sinai.
Okay, that's what's up.
Yeah.
I didn't know you was a married man. Okay, that's what's
sir.
up.
Yes,
How was married life for you, bro?
It's interesting,
Yeah.
to say the least. No, it requires a lot of prayer, and if you don't have a great communicator, if you're not a great communicator and you don't have a great communicator, it just makes that much more difficult. So it takes a great deal of communication and trust.
Well, that's real. Wow, that's real. That's real. So how long has it been? 5 years, 6 years you've been with her, or
Since October. Well, since I've been with her or married?
I'm married.
October.
Okay.
With her, about a year and change.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I'm happy for you. Wow,
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
Just had a daughter too. His daughter was born 3 days after mine. Daughter.
Yeah.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah.
How's the feeling of being a father, man?
Second to none, honestly, because I'm looking at her and I'm like, this is literally mine, and God's entrusted me to go ahead and raise her. I know she's not mine. God entrusted me to raise her. God entrusted me to lead her in the right path. So it's like a great deal of responsibility that's extremely humbling.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. That's powerful, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were talking about what it's like being a black man in today's society as opposed to in the 1950s, and there was this thing about being a black guy, about being a black man, where it's like you get up, you dress sharp, you go to work, you come home, your wife has the meal ready for you, your kids are well disciplined, you're respected within your community, you're not sagging your pants, you're not involved in all that foolery, you don't cheat on your wife. If you did, it was kind of like, what is wrong with you? Like, how could you have been involved in that? But the family was still able to keep together, even if you were to go ahead and step out on your wife. The family stayed together because they knew that it was more important for a family to be together than for a family to be apart. And then you look now, and it's like cheating is cool amongst other young black
Cheating
men.
is whack.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When the funny part is, when you don't cheat, they look at you like there's something wrong.
There's something wrong with you. You bugging.
Yeah.
Facts.
They're looking at women as materialistic.
Facts.
It's really just, you flash, like women are just objects. So you flash what you got, and then you get the girls, and then you're the cool guy because you got the girl. Then you stand in the corner, you hang out with your boys, you smoke a L, you drink a 40, you go, you kick it, you chill, you come back, you do the same thing over and over again. And girls kind of like, oh yeah, they flock to the guy, and it's just the image of a black man has yet to bounce back. And even if there were to be a few black men who were walking the right line, those black guys aren't highlighted as much as, because there's just so much more of the negative type of black man, as opposed to the guy who's doing the right thing. So I was talking to my brother, and he was just like, really like, it's very important as black men for us to, from the second we leave our homes, to go ahead and portray the right image of what a black man is like, because there are young black men right now, 13, 14, 12, who are in this place, because that age group right there, you're lost, you're gray. You don't know what you want to do, you don't know where you want to be.
Wow.
There's so many outside influences that are trying to go ahead and grab you, and you haven't truly defined what it is to be a man, and you're heading towards puberty. So you have all of these different things that are happening to you.
Wow.
But you may not have the guidance, because a lot of black families now into the society, the black father is absent. And that's the mother who's going ahead and playing both roles.
Wow.
So with her playing both roles, she isn't necessarily giving him the proper guidance to be a man. She's giving him her idea of what it should be to be a man, but not necessarily. He doesn't have that visually. A lot of us are visual. So you can tell us things 1,000 times, but if you show us, it's totally different. You know what I mean? So if they say, give a man food, he eats that one time. Teach him how to fish, he eats forever.
Wow.
If you teach a boy how to be a man, but it takes a man to teach him how to truly be a man. So if he can go ahead and learn that, then he can go ahead and influence those around him instead of being influenced by those around him.
And you being an influencer yourself, do you feel like your upbringing played a huge role in the person you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've had my father in my life, my entire life, so I can't necessarily relate to the absence of a father, but I can go ahead and speak on the importance of having one in your life and having that structure and having that example. Because there are a lot of things that are in our subconscious that we act on, a lot of our subconscious desires, and a lot of things that we don't know about ourselves is because we haven't truly tapped into why we are the way we are and the things that have happened in our lives as to making us who we are today. So it took, for me, I know that I'm real quiet, real reserved, but I get a lot of that behavior from when I was younger, getting bullied in kindergarten. So fighting that every single day is a struggle, but I had to come to that realization that it's because of XYZ as to why I am the way I am, and I can go ahead and address those issues.
Why were you being bullied?
I just came from Haiti. I was like 5 years old, just came from Haiti, had to go to ESL. So they put me in a separate class. I couldn't speak the language. I had a crush on this girl named Kiara Lynch. I never will I forget this.
You get a lot of love, man.
Never will I forget this,
You get a
man.
lot of likes. Go ahead, continue.
But so
No.
having that, and a lot of kids were like, ew, and they used to call me Blackie. I couldn't speak English, so I couldn't retaliate with my words.
Yo, they used to call me Blackie too, man. But right now, dark skin winning, right?
Right.
The
So it was
game switched
Blackie, it was
up.
Midnight, it was Charcoal, it was a whole bunch of different things that kind of messed up with my
Darkness.
self-esteem.
I got caught that.
In class, when they would bring out the TV, you gotta be a little older to know that, but in class when they bring out the TV to show you a
with the
movie,
seatbelt up top.
they turn the lights off. They turn the lights off, and then everyone would go and be like, "Oh, where'd Sodney go?" And the whole class is like laughing. And a lot of that ruined and messed messed my self-esteem up.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of confidence issues growing up until I want to say up until I grew my beard. That literally was the turning point for me. But a lot of it also has to do with your relationship with God, because I was just going to church, but I wasn't in church. I wasn't involved. I wasn't studying. I wasn't doing any of that.
True.
So a lot of it was I didn't know whose I was. I just knew that I just went with the motions. So I had to do a lot of my own like personal self-discovery, which I think is kind of important for not just men to do, but I think for everybody to do a measure of self-discovery and open up the Word and figure out exactly your purpose and what you're supposed to do, and how you can use your talents and your gifts to not just better the people within your community, but to the people at large. So some people may be singers, but they only want to sing in their homes, but that could be a ministry and a testimony to so many other people. So it's important for you to go ahead and share that ministry. You may not have the most perfect voice and be able to sing like someone like Cheryl, but if you can, as long as you have that drive and that passion within your heart, and you have the desire to go ahead and do something positive, then God's going to go ahead and work in you, because it's not necessarily about how you sound when you sing, but the message of the song you sing. So it's important for us to do like a lot of self-discovery. It's important and now I'm tying this back to being a black man and the negative image laid on us. It's important for us to go ahead and be real with ourselves and understand what it is to be a man in today's society. I'm about to ramble on.
No, keep doing a good job.
Because you're going in now. Like, we got it
So-
out of you. So now you got to go in now.
Thing, bro.
Now you got to finish. Come on.
So I was talking with my wife about I was listening to this.
I want to just say this to sort of cut you off, man. We gonna support you, man. We gonna talk after.
Thank you.
We gonna support you what you're doing, because at the end of the day, the model is to put you in position, not prison. So
Right.
I just love the way you're thinking, man, in regards to just building our brothers up. You know what I'm saying? Because it's really needed, man. But continue. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I was listening to this
Wow.
pastor. I forgot what the pastor's name is, but
Wow.
during my long drives, I listen to sermons online and things like that on YouTube. So I was listening to this pastor, and he was talking about the displacement of a black man in the 21st century, and how, not just black men, but just men in general, but I think it more so affects black men because of us being disenfranchised. So it was before World War II, the role of a man was he would go and put bread on the table, and that was his role. He came home, and we're talking about husbands now. He would come home, he would expect food to be there, he would engage in actions with his wife, go to sleep, wake up the next morning, go make bread, come back home and do it all over again. And that was his purpose, that was his role. So when the men went out to war, the women had to go ahead and get involved in working in the industry and making weapons. So now women were working in the workforce. It was something that was never done before. So now with women working in the workforce, by the time the men came back, there were no jobs for the men. So now the men come back, they have no jobs, which at the time, their jobs was their purpose, to go ahead and provide for their wives. When you look at it in today's society,
I
black
think
women...
T.D. Jakes said that. Was it?
It wasn't T.D. Jakes.
Oh,
It was,
okay.
I forgot his name, and I'm literally drawing this amazing
Wow.
blank.
Yeah.
But when you think about today, black women are self-sufficient. They're 100%, not just black women, but women, period. Self-sufficient, 100% independent.
And some of them are
multiple degrees.
superseding men now.
Right. They have 2, 4, 5 degrees. They have the home. They have their kid already, and they are seeking a husband. But now the husband is lost as to where his role is in his family dynamic. He doesn't make more money than her, so he can't provide financially She already has a child. He can't put a roof over her head. She has a home. He can't buy her a car because she has 2 or 3. So she doesn't need anything from the man anymore, except for his love. But for us as men, it's kind of difficult for us to, with our egos and our pride and the way that we're just built, for us to accept that. It's hard for us to accept that all she wants from us is our love and we can't provide it in any other way. So a good percentage of men, what they do is they get involved in domestic violence because that's the only thing they have over their woman is their strength. So then we were talking about it and it was just like, it's real. Because when you think about a lot of African American women, they're looking for, a lot of women are after college, already engaged in their careers, but they're single. They don't have a man who matches them in terms of the direction they're trying to go, because a lot of the times the men are behind. The men are behind because they spent a good amount of their years, instead of focusing on what they were supposed to focus on, chasing women, getting involved in gang activity, getting locked up, it's fast money, so many other things, that by the time they realize that it's time for them to go ahead and get their act right, the woman already has everything and she doesn't need anything from him but his love, and he can't accept that.
And sometimes their record's too dirty for them to get clean.
Right. So it's really, really difficult for a black man, not just black men, but for men period, but I think especially black men, to find their place in society and not get caught and lost in a lot of the things that they get lost and trapped in. So it's important for them to have people of influence, people who are role models to them, to go ahead and steer them in the right direction. So something that my church was doing, we were doing a mentor-mentee program. It was, I don't know if you know Ken from Maranatha?
I think my face.
Yeah. So we started a mentorship program at my church, and it was lining up younger youth with older youth and basing it off of, so if I knew you were in school for nursing, I lined you up with a nurse to be your mentor, to go ahead and continue to guide you along that path and check up on you and all so many other things. I know Robinson has a few young adults from my church that he checks in with all the time if they ever need any help, if they have any questions, to go ahead. So it's really, it takes the older generation, those who have either made the mistakes and bounced back, or even if you didn't bounce back from those mistakes, to go ahead and be an example for those who are currently going through that gray zone when you're 11, 12, 13, to get yourself in the right direction, to get yourself on the right path.
That's real.
But I was told that 2 million black men are currently missing. Missing in the sense that they're missing from the home, basically.
Right.
Like some are in prison, some are dead, some have lost their way, some are in other situations, many of them are homeless. Because we know that basically most of the time when a guy gets released from jail, he's paroled to a shelter because most people don't want him back because of the stigma. He committed a crime, either sex offender, robber, killer, whatever he is. So they go to the shelter. And the shelter, the shelter is almost like jail, in the sense that they had to leave the shelter by 9, or they had to leave their doors by 9, and by 5 it opens back up. But then they got to be in the shelter by 9:30 at night. So they got a curfew to come back, and they got a curfew to leave. So then it's almost like their life is controlled. They get 3 square meals a day and a cot, just like how prison is. So it's almost, everything is almost exactly the same. And they're in a situation where they're like, everybody that's similar to themselves is locked in the same place. And we know from them being in jail now, they suffer from post-traumatic stress and other things such as depression, because they can no longer provide, like you said. So now they're in a situation like, damn, I done did 10, 20, 30 years in jail. I come home, my girl, she got a master's degree, she got a house, she got a car. I came home for nothing but this penis, you know? So after a while, I'm not gonna feel like I'm the man, because most of the time the way the man shows his love is by providing. If he can't really provide, then he feels worthless. And like you said, this domestic violence issue, he slaps her like, yo, I'm the man. But really, like, he's physically strong, but fiscally, like financially and mentally, he's weak. So like, it's the miseducation of the Negro and the William syndrome all over.
Wow.
I feel like that's what it is.
And because we know and we're aware, as those who are older, it's our responsibility to go ahead and prevent that from happening to the generations to come, and to go ahead and be leaders and to mentor as many people as we possibly can.
That's right.
But I feel like sometimes, especially with people of color, like, they have a lot of ego, I feel like. And certain black people, when they reach a certain status, they allow that bourgeoisie feeling to come over with like, I'm better than you, so I'm not going back and helping you. Like, why you guys think that is?
I think it's they get real white about themselves. If I could put it any other way, they get real white
Bill
about
Carson.
themselves. Yeah, because once you're not amongst your people, once you reach a certain stature, you feel as if you have to leave your people. And the reason you feel like you have to leave your people is because the people who are with you, once they see you reach a stature, then they're going to go ahead and take from you. They're going to expect from you. So you want to try and displace yourself as much as possible.
I think that's dangerous. To be honest with you, it's dangerous in a sense because true success is when you allow other people to be successful.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And when you were like a Ben Carson or a Kanye West, you start losing your way. You see what I'm saying? And that's why I respect Jay-Z in regards to, you know what I'm saying? And it all depends on who you're married to as well too. You know what I'm saying? You understand that. Listen, you know, we gotta give back. It's all about giving back. And I respect guys like T.I. and J. Cole and Kendrick. Shout out to those guys, man. You know what I'm saying? Who, even though they rich, they stay in tune with their roots. You know what I'm saying?
So do you guys think having a black wife helps you to remind you that you're black and helps you to go back and help those in the struggle versus to having another wife that doesn't know the struggle?
I think it depends on the character of the person, because you can still have a white wife and she's with give back to the community, help the community, empower the community, and love the community. It depends on the person, on the person's character.
He needs to go ahead and continue to be the leader in his home. If he's the leader in his home, his wife will follow.
That's a fact.
So basically, it's the lack of leadership, you guys are saying.
Within their relationship, because I mean, it's one thing, and this is a real dicey thing because it's in a more independent time, but it's important for men to be the head in their relationships, to go ahead and be the head in their families and make the important family decisions. As much as you value your wife's opinion, it's important for you to go ahead and to be the head of your household, and to whatever principles you have, to never lose your principles, because of if your wife were to go ahead and have different principles than you, which I don't think you should get married to her if she's not aligned with you the right way. Because a lot of people are married with people they really shouldn't be married with in the first place, or with people they shouldn't be with, period. That's how you end up with a relationship that has a lot of tug and war in it, because they're not aligned properly. God never put them together in the first place. You're trying to make pieces fit that don't belong.
So do you think there's a role reversal where the woman is now the head and the man is now the tail? Because back to what we were saying in regards to the Willie Lynch, right? Basically, the man wasn't there in the home, and the mother was there trying to teach the boy how to be a man, but more so, the mother was teaching the boy how to survive because she saw what happened to the father. What do you guys think about that?
In a way, I can agree, because you see in a situation where there are sisters that feel that because they have that they're entitled to make the black man feel less than, or not man enough. So I agree to an extent.
When I was younger, I dated an older woman, not much older. I think I was like 20.
You have nothing to say with regards to what I just said, no?
No.
Okay, I understand. Okay, I just want to make sure to hear your thoughts too.
I was 27,
very insightful.
And she was 30, I believe. So
Wow.
I met her at this law firm that we was both working at. And when I met her, she had her own condo out in the Bronx. She had a master's degree. She was working on her second master's and PhD in the dual program. She was a former correction officer. And physically I was bigger than her, but she was smarter. And like you said, the only thing she wanted was love and comfort and understanding. At times I felt insecure, I'm not gonna lie to you, but seeing her be successful made me want to go harder, you understand?
That's a fact.
Yeah, and like whatever I could provide at the time I did. And we try to make it work. Obviously it didn't work out because that's not the girl I ended up marrying, but I've been in those situations. I think more so when you're with a woman that's successful, or even if you're a woman and you're with a man that's successful, sometimes it can get overbearing because you might feel left out, or you might feel like that person might leave you. Like, it's best to level up yourself, because it's two pillars that hold the house up. if one pillar is stronger than the other, then the foundation is weak, basically. So if both pillars are strong, then there's equilibrium at the top.
That's real. That's real. That's all I can say. It's real. It's real and it's deep, bro.
So I think, I don't know, I think us as black people, I think we need to wake up. I can't say like I fully agree with Kanye in the sense that slavery was a choice, but we know some people, they eventually chose not to deal with it. Those that ran away, those that fought, those that rebelled, those that killed themselves, and those that died fighting, like Nat Turner.
It's a fact, like Harriet Tubman.
Those people felt like, I'm not going to deal with it. And we know that there's house niggas, basically,
It's a fact.
that was like, yes, master, I'm going to stay in this house and deal with it.
I want to be clear, just to even add up to the thing, is that historically speaking, there were numerous, not only slave revolts in the West Indies, but there was also numerous slave revolts in America as well. So I want to just be very clear upon that. I think the Haitian Revolution is something that is that definitely needs to be acknowledged in regards to we are a threat to white supremacy because of the mere fact that not only did we chop the heads off white supremacists and we burned their house, you know that Coupé de Boulekai, we also helped, that's what we did, you know what I'm saying, also guerrilla warfare and battle tactics that was very successful way to the point where we were willing to die for the cause, because you know that's why you know it couldn't stop. You would see brothers going inside of the cannon, and they had no problem dying for the cause at all, and that's what's so beautiful and then about the Haitian spirit. But also too, helping other countries in Latin America, beating the Spaniards, beating the British, is something that is outstanding, and we paid a heavy consequence.
We did
for it.
Till this day.
And to this day, we're paying for that now. But I know for a fact that Haiti would definitely be resilient. So in regards to Kanye's thing, slavery was not a choice for no black person. You know what I'm saying?
But there were those that chose not to deal with it.
That's a fact. There are those, yeah, that's
and
a
there's
fact.
those that chose to deal with it.
I think you have to be aware that you have a choice. I think a lot of them, because this was something that their mother was in slavery, their grandmother was in slavery, and their great-grandmother was in slavery, a lot of people wasn't aware that there was anything outside of, for their race, outside of slavery, that there was no such thing. So if you lived in the South, you weren't aware that there was an opportunity for you to be a free slave in the North, and you couldn't read and you couldn't write, so you had no opportunity to go ahead and communicate with many people. And if you were educated, if you were an educated black man, they kept you away from that. And if you were a troublesome African American, they killed you and got rid of you and made you an example. So you realized it's either death or I continue to live to see another day. So I think it was a psychological warfare. It was one thing that they weren't necessarily prepared to go ahead and take on for generations. It wasn't until a good amount of African Americans educated themselves and educated other individuals in secret and decided that they were going to go ahead and stand up for themselves. And news got around to different plantations that there was an uprising and things were happening. It's all about, did they really know that they had a choice in the matter? And what was the other option? The other option was either death or continue to live your life and still have your family. They still had their family. They were still able to make the best out of whatever the situation that they were in.
Wow.
So for them, it wasn't necessarily, it was all they knew. So if slavery is all you know, we may very well be enslaved right now, which we are, but we may very well be enslaved right now and we think it's okay, it's 100% fine for us, which is the same thing that they were living in. They were living in a time where slavery is the norm for African Americans. So anybody who stepped out of line, who got out of pocket, it was like, yo, he's crazy. He just died for this, bro. Like, it ain't that bad. Like, I still got Cecile and my kids and all these other things, so everything it's okay. I can deal with Master, so what I go ahead and do is I try to appease Master as much as possible to go ahead and keep my family going. If Master needs any information, I'm gonna go ahead and give Master that information because he's gonna take it easy on my family. So I think that was like, they pinned us against ourselves. It's psychological. It was something that we weren't prepared to take on at the time, which is why it took so many years to overcome slavery.
And let's apply it to today. Today, there's a lot of disenfranchised Negroes. For example, those that grow up in low-income neighborhoods, that grow up on public assistance and Section 8 and all those things and food stamps. They live in a situation where they feel like there's no way out. They feel like if they get a better paying job, or if they get a job, then they lose their Section 8, they lose their public assistance, and they won't be able to survive on their own. The men or the boys is growing up without the fathers. They live in a situation where they only see 2 blocks in front of them, so they only see drug dealing and hustling, pimping and stealing. So they feel like, what I look like a square if I go to school and I learn. But then there's the few that like, okay, I'm gonna break this cycle. I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna pass your class. I'm gonna learn your craft. I'm gonna beat all these things. And once I make it out, I'm gonna better myself. Or I'm gonna start this business. I'm gonna take this risk. I might take a loan, or I might work hard in order for me to build up capital to build a business. Other people looking at them like, look at this person. They're crazy. Like, what are you doing? Like, this hasn't been done. I've never seen nobody do this before. How is this person going to do that? How are they going to manifest such a thing that seems so big when we looking at life so small? Because all we see is this. These people never been on vacation. They never left their neighborhood. They never left the state, let alone that block. So those people are in a state of slavery. Those people are in a mental bondage. And the people that's breaking that bondage, you can say that they're the field Negroes, because they're like, nah, I'm not going to take this. I'm going to build my own business. I'm going to graduate school. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do all these things so I can better myself. And then there's the people on the other side of the fence, the people in the house. They're like, what's this person doing? Let me see what you're doing. Oh, you're trying to get in this? No. Because we all dealt with it, in a sense. I remember I went to a job interview, and on paper, they did not think I was a certain complexion. Just because when I stood there next to somebody else that didn't have melanin in their skin, they thought that the resume belonged to them because the resume was quote-unquote impressive up until the time when they put a face to the paper, and then he saw it and he said, sorry, sir, we're no longer hiring.
That's crazy.
So this is one of the things that we deal with on a regular basis.
That's real.
Yeah, it's an entire system built against us, because when you think about what you were saying with the prison system, so they set up a whole bunch of laws that specifically targeted our communities and our neighborhoods, as opposed to the white neighborhoods. The biggest consumers of drugs and narcotics, period, are Caucasians. But they put a higher penalty on African Americans for using similar drugs.
Yeah.
Then they mass incarcerated African Americans in order to send them to prison and in order to break up their homes.
The Rockefeller.
Now when you go ahead and you break up their homes, what you're left with are young men who have no sense of guidance, no sense of leadership, and what they automatically turn to is the streets in order to survive, because they see their mother struggling to be able to maintain the home. And as a survival mechanism, you turn to doing whatever you need to do, no matter who you have to get it from, in order to keep your family and your mouth fed. So now when the black man comes back home, he is in a state where he can't vote, he can't get a proper job. He's always going to be a felon. No matter what he does, he's always going to be considered a felon, unless he goes ahead and gets in business for himself, by himself. In order to do so, you need a large amount of money. No bank is going to give you that loan because you're a felon. So that puts you in this endless cycle. So now on the other side, what they're doing through television and media, they're polluting our minds into believing that in order for you to be a successful African American, the way you need to do it is to go ahead and be a rapper. You need to go ahead and as a rapper, who are just the pawns, they're promoting this over-sexualization of African American women. They're promoting drugs and violence, activities and things that they were involved in that they were able to break out of, yet they're promoting and regurgitating that back into the community, into the streets. So now these kids who are easily influenced because they do not have that sense of self, because they don't know, they're not aware of God and who they belong to, they go ahead and listen to Jay-Z or to listen to Nas because they've all rapped about the things that they've done, not knowing that this is more so storytelling, as opposed to, hey, this is how you should live your life. They think it's more, this is how you should live your life, when Nas is telling a story saying, this is how I used to live my life, but you see how I am now. So these kids think, okay, well, if Nas did it that way, maybe that's the blueprint to getting rich, so I'm going to go ahead and do it that same exact way. So you have a bunch of kids who are pursuing becoming rappers. When they sell alcohol, when they advertise for alcohol, they put Diddy next to a bottle, but he's surrounded by beautiful women. So they make you feel as if in order for me to go ahead and be cool and successful, I need to be around multiple women. When rappers are talking about drugs, they're not just talking about drugs and telling you the bad parts of drugs. They're telling you these drugs were the reason why I was able to write the songs that I wrote. These songs, when I was taking these drugs, man, I had like 16 girls with me. So kids go ahead and they get involved in all of these drugs because they want to be just like their idols, which are the rappers. And the people who are pumping all of this into the media is the whites. So whites are not only funding it, but they're also the biggest consumer. So this is how they find out about us. This is how they relate to us, by the music that they listen to. So when they listen to a guy like Tekashi Tech 9, whatever his name is, they think, oh wow, this is how black people are. It's all of that. Okay, cool. And then they imitate it, feeling as if that they can relate to the culture. And then we make it okay because we call it the culture, when it's not appropriate for our young black men and women to consume, because what you end up with are a bunch of black men who are in the streets.
Zombies.
Yeah, a whole bunch of zombies. Of black women who are promiscuous and ending up with so many different men because they are chasing this idea of he's got it, so I've got to be aligned with him because he's got it. So it's an endless cycle, and we are all victims of it. And in some way, shape, or form, we've all been victimized by the system.
So basically, the war on drugs was war on blacks, and make America great again, make America white again.
Pretty much.
So closing thoughts, gentlemen.
Man, it was real, man. It was a good show. Good show. That's it, man. I'm blown away, man.
Closing thoughts, brother.
It's
See that blackness came out of you today.
Yeah, no. We just got to do better. We got to be our brother's keeper. We have to be aligned with God and know whose we belong to. And we have to be responsible for one another and work in love and not in hate or in jealousy or envy or anything of that nature. Uplift one another. When you see somebody down, there's nothing wrong with picking somebody up and helping them and dusting them off. It's important for us to put our pride aside oftentimes and allow somebody to help us, because there's actually somebody who's mentoring me on business end, and she's younger than me.
Wow.
So it's like extremely humbling. And then on top of that, from my perspective on my relationship, I have an older couple that I look up to, Kurt and Sandy. And that's like my relationship goals right there. They're like, yo, amazing couple. But I think it's just important to just keep your eyes open, be in love,
Does that
be open to receiving to
divorce
people.
don't count?
Yeah, divorce is not an option.
Oh yeah, divorce not an
Yeah,
option.
that's my guy.
Yeah, shout out to him. Well, guys, as you have it, that's why I call it the real word. We give you the real facts, we give you the real history, we give you the real truth, and we incorporate the word of God. So shout out to the real word, shout out to Sanders, shout out to my guests, shout out to everyone that's been watching the show, shout out to everyone that's been supporting, shout out to everybody that supported the first season, shout out to everybody that supported the second season. Don't be leaders, don't be followers, be leaders and influencers. You're great. We come from descendants of kings. Continue to be kings and queens. Respect yourself and respect those around you, and leave a footprint upon history. So even when you're gone, everything that you did supersedes you and outlives you. So that's our message for today. If you want to, you could donate at www.gofundme.com/therealword. That's www.gofundme.com/therealword. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/C for channel /therealwordtv. That's youtube.com/channel/therealwordtv. Please share, like, and forward this to a friend. Thank you for watching. Thank you for always being there and supporting us. Shout out to all you guys, and we see you again next week. Thank you.